welcome student pharmacists and guests and College of Pharmacy deans and distinguished faculty. Thank you for being here today. We're here to celebrate a momentous occasion in the life of the College of Pharmacy, and we're here specifically to celebrate a major transition in your life. A transition from didactic preclinical years to the final and clinical practice year of our pharmacy program. Yay. To celebrate this level of achievement, each student has been given a new white coat. Are you happy with it? Yeah, deep pockets. You know, that's for all the money you're going to make as a pharmacist. And an embroidered name and patch on your jacket. Now, the patch itself was commissioned by the college. We commissioned Ashley Dombrowick in 2014 specifically for these occasions. And I don't know if you recognize that name, but Ashley is Pauline's daughter, so we're very proud to have that connection. Now, if you look at the patch itself, this is what the patch looks like. You notice a couple symbols that relate to pharmacy. The first one is the RX, which is there for prescription. And you've probably learned from Dr. McCall what it means. Do you remember what it means from Dr. McCall's lectures? I don't remember much from the first year. This is a test. Well, it's basically, it's basically take thus. It's really literally a recipe, okay? And so that's a typical symbol that we see that relates to pharmacy. Of course, it's on all prescription pads, and it's often identified with a pharmacy, specifically a pharmacy setting. The second symbol I want to point out is the bowl of Hygeia. Now, Hygeia was a Greek goddess. And this is the most widely recognized symbol for the profession of pharmacy internationally. And I'd say since the late 1700s, it's become the symbol for the profession of pharmacy. Now, some people say that it might have been established sooner, but there's no direct evidence of that. Hygeia was the goddess of health. You think of hygiene, right? She was the goddess of health. And she was the daughter of, I screw this up every time, Asclepios. Do you know that?
I know it, but I can't pronounce it.
Asclepios, who was the god of healing and medicine, and he would walk around with a staff with a serpent, and the serpent really represented healing, okay? So this has become our symbol for the profession. Now, the Lucenzi Ardens, do you recognize that phrase? It is the phrase, it's the motto of UNE. Okay, so Lucenzi, yeah. Sometimes you see that storm cloud say it, Lucenzi Ardens. And basically it means ardor for light or passion for learning. Okay, so this is a very significant patch that we've had commissioned specifically for this event. Now, transitions are often symbolized by a butterfly's life cycle, right? Beginning as a caterpillar, very restricted, limited in what it can do, but goes through various stages to become a beautiful butterfly, okay? Maya Angelou basically summarized, what we focus on when we look at butterflies. She said, we delight in the beauty of the butterfly, but we rarely admit the change that it has gone through to achieve that beauty. We're here to celebrate those changes that you have gone through, the struggles that you have had, and you're making a major transition. You're now becoming a butterfly, and now you'll be able to move around the country freely, okay, and fly. And so it's kind of symbolic, but I certainly know that you've come a long way from the very beginning. Okay, major transitions. Now, in a few minutes, we'll ask you to adorn your jackets and you'll say the oath of the pharmacist. And then we'll have our guest speaker, Dr. Krebs, to talk a little bit, and then we'll have Dean Brazeau say a few words. Okay, student pharmacists of the class of 2018, please stand and remain standing. Don your coats. Raise your right hand. And join Dr. Dornblaser to recite the oath of the pharmacist. Dr. Dornblaser?
Hello, class of 2018. It is my professional honor to lead you in this oath. Please repeat after me. I promise to devote myself to a lifetime of service to others through the profession of pharmacy. In fulfilling this vow, I will consider the welfare of humanity and relief of suffering my primary concerns. This one's long. I will apply my knowledge, experience, and skills to the best of my ability. To assure optimal outcomes for my patients. I will respect and protect all health and personal information entrusted to me. I will accept the lifelong obligation to improve my professional knowledge and competence. I will hold myself and my colleagues to the highest principles of our profession's moral, ethical, and legal conduct. I will embrace and advocate changes that improve patient care. I will utilize my knowledge, skills, experiences, and values to prepare the next generation of pharmacists. I take these vows voluntarily with the realization of the responsibility with which I am entrusted by the public. Nice job, guys.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dornblaser. Now on to our keynote speaker. We've invited Dr. James Jim Krebs, Assistant Dean of Experiential Education and Clinical Assistant Professor, to be our keynote speaker today, to share his insights into the profession and your upcoming experiences. We have a gem in Jim. Who better to ask than someone who has had varied pharmacy experiences in addition to his experience as a faculty member at UNE. I'm going to start listing some of his experiences, and you'll see how varied they are, and be quite impressed, actually. I was impressed. Currently, Dr. Krebs works on a per diem basis as a pharmacist at Jensen's Pharmacy in Rockland. Anybody know where Jensen's Pharmacy is? A few people, yeah. He's held pharmacist and pharmacy manager positions for various retail chains, for example, Hannaford and Walgreens. So he's been in management as well as being a pharmacist. He's been a clinical pharmacist for 4 hospitals, right? St. Andrew's Hospital in Booth Bay Harbor, who knows where that is? One person. She knows her main geography. Miles Memorial Hospital in Damariscotta. Anybody know where that is? Okay, few. Midcoast Hospital in Brunswick. Okay, a few people there. He's been a clinical pharmacist at St. Andrew's. Oh, I've just said that. Boy, I'm repeating myself. He's been a clinical pharmacy specialist in oncology as well at King Faisal Specialist Hospital in Saudi Arabia. And then finally, he's been a long-term care pharmacist. Talk about the range of pharmacy services one person has provided at Vrabel Healthcare in Ohio. And then he's got additional credentials as a pharmacist. He's a community pharmacist based point of care testing, tobacco treatment specialist, MTM, emergency contraception at the counter, pharmaceutical care for dyslipidemia patients. So you can see he well represents the profession of pharmacy. Finally, Dr. Krebs has been very active promoting the pharmacy profession and UNE to elementary, high school, and college students at career events. Wow. Now, I have a few student comments about Dr. Krebs as a faculty member. Dr. Krebs is a great teacher who stimulates conversation and learning in class. Dr. Krebs is engaging with students. He's an amazing professor, very approachable, made it easy for students to ask questions, so kind and nice. He's always prepared, organized, keeps us updated. And then finally, Dr. Krebs was a really cool guy. Who better than to talk about transitions to practice than a person who has so many experiences and practice credentials and who is responsible for maintaining stellar practice sites for our student pharmacists. Please give a warm welcome to Dr. James Krebs.
Well, thank you, Dr. Woodward. I'm hearing all that. It's like, wow, I would hire him. Like, he sounds like an amazing guy. So thank you. Not every day is easy in the workplace, which you're soon going to realize. So, you know, I was chosen to be the keynote speaker, not the first choice. I'm second choice, but I'm happy being second or third choice. We often have our preceptor of the year from the year before, who is our keynote speaker. But Leo's actually from the U.S. Public Health Service was unable to be here, so they asked me. I said, absolutely. For one, I'm the class advisor, but two, I started thinking about it, and as we think about towards next year, I am probably going to have more APPE students than any other faculty or preceptor. So there's going to be, I think, 25 of you who will be my students, whether it be in Spain and Thailand, in the summer or the autumn. So I feel I'll have a quarter of the class that'll be under my guidance or preceptorship or mentorship, so that's pretty exciting. It's a chance for me to get to know the class even better. I know some of the class quite well, but especially there'll be time during the formal curriculum and in off hours for me to get to know a quarter of the class in their final year, so it's pretty exciting. So I'm really pleased that I was asked to speak here. It was just, to be honest, it was just about an hour ago when I was like finishing up my speech, I was like, you know, exactly, you know, what is transition? And there were a few key words that I thought were really kind of cool. You know, they talked about, yeah, it's a passage or a change or a transformation. And they said it's a handover or a changeover as well. And I hadn't really thought about a transition being really a handover. And I do feel that it is a time now where we as faculty and administrators are handing you over, yes, to our faculty, but a lot of our preceptors are external. So we're entrusting them to take good care of you, but we're also entrusting you to represent the university well. So I guess that's the message I want you to think, that when you leave here, you know, May 12th or so, before you start your APPEs on the 22nd, that you are charged with representing, just not our profession, but representing UNE, the College of Pharmacy, to the state of Maine, to the US, and abroad. So you have a big responsibility, I believe. So, I mean, this is kind of off my official speech, but Dr. Woodward got me thinking just right now about how old I am with all these experiences, but it started making me thinking about when I was in pharmacy school, which I'm going to chat a bit about. But some other cool things that aren't on my CV is when I was in your shoes, going off on my APPEs, I had incredible experiences that really changed my career and my focus. I had always worked in hospital pharmacy as a student, but then during my final year, I went off to the VA hospital for 3 months, which gave me a really great insight. But it was really those electives, and I did an amazing rotation at the Ohio State University Veterinary Hospital, which was pretty incredible. So the point is we're going to chat about a little bit about is to take all these experiences and how they can transform and change you because you're not sure what direction it's going to take you in. All right? So when I started looking back on the 20 years since pharmacy school had passed, I realized that I was no way prepared for what the real world of pharmacy was. Some of you may or may not know that I was not the most stellar student, but I wasn't total back row either. I really came out not really prepared what I wanted to do exactly. And so although I relied on my faculty and my preceptors, I still didn't feel really prepared, and I felt the transition wasn't really strong for me. But I feel now that after 20 years experience and after 9 years here at UNE and having hundreds of students, I've learned a lot about what some of the challenges are as you transition and some things that can make you successful. Lynn Kopak, is my colleague Lynn here? There's Lynn, of course. We hear a lot, we learn a lot from our students and from preceptors of what goes well and what we could have done better to prepare them. So I'd like to talk a little bit about some of those things today. But I think one of the big things that I'm going to chat about is that I was most unprepared for was the personal independence and accountability when it comes to practicing pharmacy in the real world. Because here you're really expected to study, you're expected to show up to class, you're going to have exams and quizzes, you expect to get some evaluation or feedback from us, even if it's just a grade. But that's not really going to happen once you hit the real world. So soon you're going to need to evaluate yourself. You're going to need to look inside and ask for that feedback. It's not going to come directly towards you, although our preceptors are required and expected to give you feedback. They get busy too, so you need to ask, what is going well? What can I do to improve? Just not on your professional, but also in your personal life as well. You're really going to be in charge of setting your own goals and guidelines and a standard for yourself that you must practice and live by within your community. And these are really key that you start to develop those foundations now as you transition from a student to a pharmacist. And I feel this next year is really, really important for that. So during this next year, I really encourage you to seek guidance, just not from our faculty, but from your external preceptors as well. They are an incredible resource. You need to excel in this new role. And to do that, hopefully I can provide you some tips today. But it's really over this next year where I want you to get some tips and advice and resources that can help ease your transition from student to a pharmacist. We live in such a diverse world. There's so many career options. We can only provide so many of those through electives and through your IPPEs and even the APPEs. So it's important for you to ask those questions of what opportunities are available. As Dr. Woodward said, I've had a pretty diverse career, and maybe some of you didn't know of all my past experience. So there's a lot more out there than what you may realize. I think you're going to have these wonderful choices, and we think, how do we prepare you for all these choices? And we cannot prepare you. You're not sure what's going to wait on the other side of graduation. You have these unlimited choices. Your future might involve taking care of patients. They could be at the counter. They could be at the bedside. Or it may be some completely unrelated thing to what we've taught in the curriculum. We, my colleagues and preceptors, feel that we have provided you an excellent foundation, but these roles often require different skill sets that we can't always provide in the classroom. There is no way that you're going to know everything by the time you receive your diploma next spring or when you pass your NAPLEX next summer. But you've been introduced to some key information here at the college, but you haven't mastered them all, and you never will, and this is normal. And you'll cope by filling in some of the gaps in knowledge when they arise. Sometimes a remedy may be as simple as looking something up in micromedics or clinical pharmacology. It may be a phone call to a colleague. Or it may be as complex as seeking additional training or certification, a residency or a fellowship. The gaps in your knowledge don't make you inadequate. It doesn't make you a stellar pharmacist. They're human. And it's important to realize that sometimes you're not going to have all the information you need. Does it give yourself permission to remain static and say, I don't know, just let it sit by the wayside? Absolutely not. You're really going to be in charge now of continuing professional development, just not through your APPEs, but through your career. It is really going to be your responsibility to push yourself and to seek those new credentials. So students often say, what do I focus on? How do I prepare for APPEs? How do I prepare for my career? And it's a really tough question. There's some of you out here that really know what you want to do. You've known since you were 14 that you wanted to own your own pharmacy. But I can tell you that the vast majority really are not sure what you want to do. And that's what this next year is about. I can say that nothing really makes me happier than when I'm on a site visit in Block 4 and a student may say, Dr. Krebs, I don't know what I want to do. That's okay. We're only in block 4. And if they say that in block 8, that's okay. You know what I mean? You're going to figure it out. You got to figure out that next step, but it's okay not to know what you want to do the rest of your life or even 3 months from now. But hopefully your APPEs will guide you towards that. I think, I should tell a little bit about, I think I chose healthcare because I really like to talk. I like to engage with patients and with other healthcare professionals. But for me, it was important to have many different career paths. And as Dr. Woodward said, I have. And I feel that I'll have many paths ahead of me. So we got to keep building on the skills that we have and not remain stagnant and think of what could be in the future. So I think what's really important for all of you is to try on as many hats as you can within the next year. Okay? You're going to have at least 6 opportunities through your APPEs. But even within those APPEs, it's important for you to take different roles within those 6 weeks. There will be times when maybe you need to go off to a management meeting or you need to work on leadership development. Take those opportunities when they arise. When they say, can you really participate in this community outreach project on a Saturday after your 40-hour work week, say, I'm up for it. Okay? Take those opportunities. And as well, it's okay to say that you don't know what you want to do. I think students are often embarrassed to tell their family or friends, I don't know what I want to do. And the parents say, we've just spent $150,000 and you don't know what you want to do? It's okay. There are opportunities for there and you are going to figure it out. Again, that's what your APPEs are all about. They're about exploring. It's about new opportunities. So how do you get there? Okay, so we need to transition now. You've been a student in the classroom. How do you transition to being a pharmacist? How are you going to accomplish this in 12 months? Well, you're almost there. I hope for at the college that we've taught you about professionalism. We've hopefully encouraged some ethical behavior and helped guided you on that path. But this last year is really, really critical. But regardless of your career path and what you think you want to do today, it's going to evolve and change, especially over the next 6 months and throughout the next 12 months. But no matter what your career is, some things you really got to work on the next year are interviewing skills. Those are key. Okay, you need to practice those with your friends, with colleagues and preceptors. Whether you plan to choose a career right outside of pharmacy school or whether you seek advanced training, you got to start honing those skills. I think equally important is for you to work on your writing skills. Remember, those follow-up emails and thank you notes are really, really keys to your success. These are things that we hear from employers all the time. They'll often say, yeah, we were at the career fair and your students were really well prepared. Or sometimes they might say, you know what, you really got to work on some interviewing with the skills. They're really bright, but you got to work on those interviewing skills. So you're going to be in charge of that now, and I encourage you to work on those over the next 4 years. But I think something that we don't talk about in school, and I encourage you to chat with your preceptors, is how do you handle a job offer? How do you negotiate a salary? How do you decline a job offer without burning bridges? Those are key things that you need to ask. And those are things that I often say that are in the hidden curriculum. Those may be lunchtime conversations. They may be, at 8 o'clock at night when the pharmacy closes at 9 and there's downtimes. Those are questions that I encourage you to ask your preceptors. Another thing, Sue, is you really need to work on those communication skills and take on leadership opportunities. When I was a student, I didn't realize the huge role of communication played in the workplace. Being able to interact successfully with your colleagues, whether they're other pharmacists or whether they're other healthcare providers or your patients, are key. So trust me, even though you're written and you feel your oral communication skills are strong, you've got to keep developing those. And I will say, I don't always get it right, okay? There's often students that we have sim lab, and at the end of sim lab, I usually do a recreation of what I think would be best. And students will say, wow, Dr. Krebs, that was really amazing. I'm like, well, I've been doing this 20 years, but at the same time, I don't always get it right, okay? I'm going to skip over something I wrote here about leadership because I don't think it's key. But something I want to chat a little bit is about work-life balance and adjusting your schedule. So you've had a pretty consistent schedule. You show up for class, you study, you stay up late, you may go to work. But once you start on your APPEs and in your profession, you're going to have a pretty rigid schedule. And as you enter APPEs, you may find it's very different than the experience that you had in class or during your IPPE. Every 6 weeks, you're going to have a new environment. You're going to have new colleagues. You're going to have a new site. You may even be in a new country. You may now be working weekends. You may be working second or third shift. You may have to work a holiday. That's what we do as healthcare providers. You may consider yourself an expert at balancing work and life, but it's hard to fit it all in. You think it's hard as a student now, and many students think, oh, it'll be so much easier when I just have to go to work every day. There's just as much going on, if not more, when you take on more responsibilities. I'll say that even sometimes I grapple, and I think my colleagues can say the same as administrators and faculties and preceptors, you know, as a father, as a friend and a colleague, how do I balance it all? And it's hard. And it's hard, and it's a thing I'll never forget. There's a dean by the name of Annie Lynn, and in our fellowship last year, someone said, you know, Dr. Lynn, how do we balance work and our personal life? And she said, there is no balance. And it was a new concept that I took on, and she said basically sometimes work has got to take the priority, but then other times it won't. It's not always balanced. Sometimes it's like this, and sometimes it's like this, and sometimes you got to say no, okay? So when you leave campus next month, you're not going to have the support of our faculty, of the administration. Yes, Lynn and I are still here. We're available email, phone calls, and even text if it's needed, okay? But you're really going to have to, step it up. You're going to be responsible for a lot of the choices in your life. You're going to have preceptors and mentors now and colleagues instead of faculty here. You're going to need to turn to them for professional and personal advice. But to do this, you need to start building those resources and that network now. You can't wait till graduation and say, who's going to be my support network? Who am I going to rely on for professional advice? The Appies, you're going to have an incredible opportunity to start developing those connections, okay? Because you're never sure where you're going to need those, so start building that foundation now. A little bit more about the workplace. I want to say there isn't always one perfect way to assimilate into your 6-week site to ensure success, but one sure way is to, first of all, to be to work on time. Things I've learned from students, you got to be to work on time. You also need to dress professionally. So we've been instilling that for the past 3 years. That's a big part for success. You got to take the initiative. You need to be respectful to not just your patients, but your colleagues. I think you need to be empathetic, and you need to be more kind and caring to each other. And you got to do your best work. And I want to say sometimes your best work isn't always your best, but it's the best you can do that day. So give it your best every day. The transformation from a student pharmacist to a pharmacist is rarely smooth or easy. There's going to be many bumps in the road. Your expectations will change. Disappointments may occur. And you really need to look deep inside yourself and say, you know what can I do what's best for me as well as my patients? And accept that change and move forward. It's all a part of growing. It's not always easy to get everything right. And I'll say that even after all these years, I don't always get everything right, but I try to do the right thing. So I'm confident that the people in your network, our faculty, your preceptors, new colleagues, your classmates, and the knowledge and skills that you have developed here at UNE will launch you towards a respectful life as a pharmacist and a member of your community. So every one of you have an amazing year ahead of you, okay? So make the most of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Krebs. Next, we are fortunate to have a few words from Dean Brazeau. Dean Brazeau?
Good evening, and good afternoon, class of 2018. I really want to thank my colleague, Dr. Jim Krebs, for his great insights, how to be successful in your rotations and as you move on to be a pharmacist. Jim, it's truly been very fortunate to have you join our college as an initial one of the founding faculty, and I have thoroughly enjoyed every day working with you. I want to thank you for all you do, you and Lynn, what you do for our students as you help them to advance into their rotations and as future pharmacists. Also want to take time to thank all the faculty and staff that are here, and I'd like all the faculty and staff to stand up, and I'd like all the class of 2018 to thank them for all they do, because they've given you what you need to be successful. And thank you, Jean, for always serving as the excellent MC that you are for this event. I'm sure that some of you in this room are tired of me emphasizing the importance of caring as a pharmacist and working as a team member, educating pharmacists being part of a team. Yet, as you move on to your rotation, this becomes one of the most critical aspects of your professional education as you now advance onto your experiential education in the last year of your program. We look to each of you to be an outstanding representative of the College of Pharmacy throughout the year. As you wear that badge, as you wear that coat, as I wear this pin every day, be very proud and be the best representative you can for the College of Pharmacy. This year will go by in a blink of an eye, and soon you'll be preparing for your graduation. I'd like to take a few minutes to share with you what I think is essential as you move on to your rotations. Dr. Krebs has done a great job giving his elements how you transition. I'm going to give you the Dean's top 10, and because I want you to be successful. And we do miss when you go out in rotations. So, number 10, take time to reflect on what you learn each day. Look for that aha moment. Look for that moment where you see where a pharmacist makes a difference in a patient's life. Always ask your patient, what is important to them? And remember that they honor you by giving you their trust to take care of them. Number 9, this is the time that you're going to look to integrate the knowledge that you've learned in the biomedical, the pharmaceutical, the clinical, and social administrative sciences. You're going to be able to see how those all come together and the essential elements for patient-centered care. Number 8, you should demonstrate courtesy and politeness to everyone each and every day, because you never know who you're going to work with in the future. Pharmacy is truly a very small community, and you want to make sure that at the end of the day, it's about always being a person that's being polite and considerate to others. Number 7, being willing to speak up and work with your preceptor. You're going to make some mistakes, but you're going to take that time to learn from these mistakes, learn from those preceptors. And sometimes in all our lives, we learn much more from the things that we didn't do right versus the things that we did do right. Number 6, rotations will require hard work. Dr. Krebs has said it's going to be a little bit more regimented. Even if you have a position upon graduation, learn something from every rotation. Take the opportunity to learn, because you never know, again, where your career might take you or where you might end up practice in the future. Number 5, this is a little more pragmatic one. Keep up with your assignments as it relates to the modules in RX Prep as you prepare for your NAPLEX. Take these seriously, as they will help you to evaluate where you need to focus your learning efforts to be successful on your boards. Take this year to also learn how you best learn. You know, after May 2018, it'll be your responsibility to learn and stay current with the necessary knowledge and skills to be a successful practitioner. We'll always be here with some great CE programs, but you're going to have to learn. Take this time next year to refine your skills, how you best learn. Number 4, and this is one of my favorite ones, develop the attitude that you get to do something rather than you have to do something. You get an opportunity to go to these wonderful places and learn from these people. Your preceptors are committed to your learning, and the various assignments that they give are to help you learn. These are the opportunities that you have to become an exceptional pharmacist. You've worked so hard, and you will continue to work hard. In addition, I don't know about you, but I don't have a really good, perfectly crystal ball to tell what the future is, and you're never going to know what type of pharmacy career that you'll have in the future. And you can learn all the different opportunities. As Dr. Krebs says, talk to your preceptors off hours, learn what they do. So it sounds a little redundant with Dr. Krebs, but I think they're good things to hear more than once. Number 3, listen and learn from all the other healthcare professionals on the team. They're going to teach you things that you have not thought about in taking care of a patient. If you're not sure, ask a question. Ask to understand. If it's a social worker, it's PT, physical therapy, occupational therapy, other physicians, nurses. Ask if you're not clear, and take the time to truly listen and learn. Number 2, listen and learn from your preceptors, as they can provide important aspects to being a successful practitioner and having a balanced life. And sometimes life isn't balanced. Ask them about their experiences and what they have learned over the years and what's enabled them to be a successful pharmacist. I'd have you ask, then listen and learn. And number 1, listen and learn from your patients. And more equally important, ask them to tell what are their health and wellness goals. Again, what matters to them, and how you can work together to help they achieve their success. Think about that person who honors you with their presence and honors you with their trust. I'd ask you to ask, and then listen and learn. I wish you all the very best in the remainder of this semester, and as you move on to these very exciting advanced pharmacy practice rotations in the year to come. We are truly proud that you've been part of our UNE College of Pharmacy family. I hope you will continue to keep in touch and always do the best work. And remember each day to always have the courage and to be kind to those who have given you the honor of their presence. Finally, I remind you that these key elements that I mentioned to you when you first started in the College of Pharmacy, specifically to always work hard, learn with passion, and enjoy life with enthusiasm. Take these opportunities and learn with them and enjoy them with enthusiasm, and enjoy the places that you'll be at. Enjoy where you're going to be in Maine or California or wherever you're at. If you do this, if you work hard, learn with passion, enjoy life with enthusiasm, they will indeed frame the conclusion of a very successful academic career in the College of Pharmacy at UNE. But more importantly, they will form the foundation for a wonderful career as pharmacists who will always be centered on patient care. That's what you are. You're a pharmacist focused on patients and their families. Thank you, and I wish you all the best wishes as you go on each and every day. And just remember, go UNE. Thanks.
Dylan and Sam, you ready to come up?
Good evening. Currently, we are, quote, winging it. And as I told, you won't find us in the program. And I've told Renee in the past that sometimes this is just how I like to do it. There was a tradition started when we first entered as P1s by the class above us, the class of 2017. And that was a creation of a symbol of our class, something for us to create, to take with us, wear on our white coats proudly, take with us to our IPPEs and now to our APPEs, and that was the creation of a class pin. Lynn Tran, when he explained this symbol to myself and the other officers when we were first elected, he explained it as something that we could represent our class with and wear it proudly on our white coats. But to myself and I think the other officers, it meant something a little bit more than that. Every time I look at the pin, when I see it on my white coat, it's not just representing our class, but it's representing every year that we've accomplished from our P1 year to now. And it's not just what we've accomplished, but who we've accomplished it with. And that's everyone sitting to your left and to your right. It's a big deal to make it this far with a class of over 100 people. So with that, we would like to take this moment to formally present our pin to the Dean Brazeau, and the College of Pharmacy to add our pin to the pin board and continue the tradition and hope that it continues for more and more years to come.
Thank you, Dean Brazeau. Thank you, Dylan and Sam. Well, I was going to have the faculty stand up and the staff, but I guess we've already done that, right? No, that's okay, that's okay. We can still clap and give them another round of applause. I especially want to thank the staff for making this celebration possible. This College of Pharmacy staff is a very special group of people. You all know them. They work very hard. They share the work. And our staff is here. But I'd particularly like to thank the staff in the Dean's office, Miss Margaret Peg Donovan, Miss Renee Dana, and Miss Peggy Mowat. Okay, class of 2018. Beginnings are born out of endings. Make us proud. Thank you so much. There's a reception. There's going to be food in the back, a cake. Please help yourself, mingle. We're very proud of you. We're excited to have you go out and represent UNE. Thank you so much.